Hello, hello, it's year 3, everybody, doing their art with Miss Martin. Fantastic. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to do chalk and charcoal pictures of hands. So let's begin. For this, we need our hands and we need some nice grey A3 paper. This is grey sugar paper. And then we need our new friend, charcoal, and our old friend, chalk. Fantastic. And that's pretty well all we need, except for our hand, because we're going to draw our hand. Obviously not our hand that we draw with, so it needs to be our other hand, and we want it nice and relaxed. I don't want it to be uncomfortable for you. I want it palm up so we can see it clearly, but just nice and relaxed. Don't have it all tense and things, because we want to be able to be comfortable while we're drawing. And the first thing we need to do is observe. We're not going to use our chalk for drawing at the moment, but we're going to just use it to help us. Can you see how the palm of my hand is longer than the chalk? But oh look, my finger's pretty well the same size. So this is to help us think about the size of things. It's called proportion when you're drawing, how big things are compared to each other. Okay, so the first thing to do is look at the proportion, and we're going to be drawing with our charcoal. Now, don't think of drawing the whole hand. We're going to start with drawing the palm of the hand. And really, if you think of it, it's not much more than a slightly wonky square. Okay, so we just start blocking in the shape of our palm there. Nice and relaxed. Can you see how lightly I'm pressing? This is because I'm sketching. So now I'm looking at the top of the fingers and the shape that that makes. Remember, it's not as big as the palm. And do you remember how yesterday we blocked in little lines to help us see where things come to when we were doing the joints? It's the same here. I've just done this little arch to show the top of my fingers just to help me later on. It's really useful. And don't be thinking about it again as fingers, think of it as shapes. I'm just putting in the little lines of the joints there. Again, that will help. See how lightly I'm drawing? Don't press too hard. So now I'm going to get in the base of my thumb, the bottom of my thumb, which is basically an oval or egg shape there. Just thinking about sketching that in. That's it. So it's wider than that square of the palm, a nice and round shape, and then it bends outwards. Can you see how it bends outwards into a bit of an arch? So you just gently sketch that in, nothing heavy. And the top of my thumb, think of it as a tube, a bent tube with a curve on the top. That's all it is. Don't be afraid. Now we're going to do this finger here. Now can you see there's a nice gap between the thumb and the first finger, and can you see how it's curved? Again, it's just tubes that are slightly curved, and we're using that line that we drew earlier to help us. Do you remember when we marked in the shape? We've got the different joints there, and again, look, it's just really 1, 2, 3 tubes, one on top of each other, and the top one's nice and curved. Now if we look, there's a nice gap again between the first and second fingers, but the third and fourth fingers are pressed together, so we want to show that. Again, just a rounded tube, and you can compare where the joints go compared to where they are on the first finger to match them up. And this is what observational drawing is. It's looking. You see where the top of that finger comes down on the second finger? There it is. And it's slightly behind, isn't it? The second finger. That's it. Fantastic. And we've got a gap again between the third finger and the baby last finger. And we've used, can you see that those marks that we did earlier? Getting the shape in. You see how useful those little marks are. And we're just sketching in the shape there. So that's very roughly our fingers. We can work out where all the little joints are. Again, we compare it, we observe where do they come to compared to the last joins on the last finger. And we're just going to get a bit more detail in. We've got the curve there. We just want to come out a little bit there. So yeah, this is sketching. We've got no definite lines yet, but we're beginning now to go, that is definitely where that line goes. We need to get our thumbnail in there. That will help us. And we need to get the creases and marks in there. So now we've sketched in our basic shape. We're ready to really start choosing the lines and being a bit stronger and firmer with our charcoal. Still, again, not just pressing down really hard, still working on the shapes. I'm going to get in some of the lines as well on the palm of the hand in a minute. Let's just, get those creases in, because those are definitely in the right places. And actually there's a couple of creases there, isn't there, which are sort of curved shapes. Round to the top, that last join. And I'm feeling a bit more confident now with my shapes. Can you see how I'm pressing a bit harder now? Which is fine. Can we see how that sticks out, that knuckle there? So I needed to put a little lump in there. They're not all perfectly straight, are they, fingers? Again, this is why we call this observational drawing, because we're just really looking closely at something. If we guess at it, it won't be right. We have an idea of what something looks like in our mind, but quite often it's not quite right. Okay, so we want that line in there. Yep, I'm really happy with that shape, so I can press that in darker and cross over there, putting in our markings like so. And then we come down to our baby finger, and there's a little bit of a sort of a crossover there, isn't there? There's a line going down, and then we can take that into our little baby finger, getting the shape there, remembering it is thinner and smaller than all the others. Okay, so now we're getting the last of our thicker, more confident lines in around the shape of the palm, and we've got this nice curve. And now we want to start getting these lines in, these crease marks on the centre of our palm in there. Again, if you want to do them lightly to begin with, that's fine until you're confident. That's always the best way. Get them right, and then you can press harder and make it more definite. Okay, so I think we're pretty well done. I just want to get those creases in around my wrist. Now, everybody's hands are going to be slightly different, so bear that in mind. It's not going to be entirely the same. I'm just going to be putting in the shape of my wrist, and that's pretty well it now. Just a few little lines and things. So now we are going to make it look more realistic by adding shadow and by adding highlights. And to add the highlights, we're going to be using chalk. So I'm just finished those last bits. Yep, and I'm swapping to chalk. Now, look at my hand. We can see where there are lighter bits, where the light is hitting. And there are some bits which are darker and some bits are lighter. And you're using the chalk just as you did on the X-ray to get the very lightest, brightest parts on. We can smudge some in later, but we're just working. You see how we're smudging there? Just working on those very lighter bits first of all. Okay, I'm going to speed it up for you. And you can see how I'm adding all our nice light bits. And now I'm adding some shadow using the charcoal, going back. Aha, there we go. Can you see how we've got our light bits and our dark bits? We want to get our shadow done there. And that's it. Our drawing, our first hand is complete. Now we're going to make our fist, everybody. And again, we need our hand, but this time we need it in a tighter shape of our fist. And again, we're going to look, first of all, let's look at the shape. We've got our palm again, but it's going to be slightly smaller because it's pulled in with the fingers coming in. And can you see how those fingers go over and round? They curl round, and our thumb curls over the top of our fingers, okay? We've got our basic shape of our palm again. So let's just put that basic shape in of that slightly wonky rectangle. And then let's just have a look from the side. It's just to help us understand how it all fits together, the way the fingers crease over and the shape from side to side there. It's just good to have a good observation, good look first before you begin, so you're really understanding how it all fits together and how things curve. So we're just going to start with the palm of our hand like we did with our first drawing, and it's a bit more curvy. Okay, it's a bit more curvy than that one, and we need to get in our pad of our thumb and the top of our thumb there, and we're just using again some basic lines some little tiny dots and marks to work out how everything fits together. This is sketching, remember. We're not putting definite lines in yet. We are just sketching. We need to get that curve in. And it's fine to move your thumb if you want to observe how it all fits and how it all works. But just remember to put your thumb back later. So here is our first finger, roughly sketched on. And you can see how the second finger is higher. So you need to put that on. And that's, remember how we put lines and marks in, if you want to put any lines and marks in to give you ideas how it all works. And there we go, that's that top join there. And then the next finger is lower. And if you do it wrong, you can rub it out with your finger with charcoal, as long as you've not done it too heavy, as long as you've sketched in. Now we've got the bottom of our third finger and the side there. That's great. And it's more complicated, this, but I thought it was worth having a real challenge, see how we do. Let's get in that last baby finger. And you can see there, you can see the side of it. You can't see the side so well on the others, but we need to get that in there. And we're getting in our basic shape now. Okay, let's get that thumb in. So we'd already drawn our palm, and we've got our sort of ovally egg shape, and we're just working out how that thumb crosses over the fingers, whereabouts. And again, I made a little mistake, I just rubbed it out very, very lightly. Don't press hard, people, while we're trying to work it out. There we go, the tip of the thumb doesn't quite cross the whole finger, and it's just a little ovally shape, and then a tube going down onto the nice ovally curve at the bottom. And we can start thinking about how do the bottoms of the fingers fit in and things like that. Where are the knuckles? Where are the joins? Where are the lines? And just start sketching those in. So there we go. I've got my basic shape. And don't be afraid. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. This is all about practicing. This half term, we're practicing how to use the charcoals and the chalk, so that next half term we'll have really good skills in place. So just relax and see how you do with it. So I'm just going backwards. I'm adding bits of detail as I go. So I'm adding some lines in there, some of the creases in the skin. I'm going to just put my nail in. And, you know, I'm not doing this perfectly. It's not a photograph, remember. We're being artists, not photographers. We're just trying to capture the shapes. Now you can see there's a bit of shading going on there. So I've put that in to help. And I'm looking at the tips of the fingers now. I'm looking at the bottoms of the fingers and just starting to get a little bit of detail in there, so we can see that. Again, it's not perfect, it's not a photograph, so don't panic about it. Just get those creases in. Great. Bottom of finger number 3. And again, remember, this is just blocking in. We can go back and be definite when we're happy and certain. Right, speeding this up for you. I've just done some highlights again where it's lighter, and I've put in some shadow again where it's darker. There we go. There is our second picture of the fist. So we've got our hand and we've got our fist. There we go, our fist and our palm of our hand. And remember, highlighting where it's lightest, using the charcoal where it's darkest, and then we can smudge some in. And remember, we are doing sketching. Light lines first and then your darker lines in. Okay, fantastic. That's not bad, is it? Brilliant. Good luck, everybody. See how you get on. And I'll be really looking forward to seeing all your results. Bye, 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 bye.